Sausage Party. So Sausage Party deals with a little sausage named Frank. Frank and his friends dream about being chosen by these gods and get sent through a door that is their version of heaven, I guess. They don't know what's on the other side, but they know it's something wonderful and exciting. Little do they know that the gods they worship are really choosing them to be eaten, and when they find out this terrible truth, a little funny things happen along the way. That's all I'll pretty much say without giving any spoilers to you guys. I don't want to spoil this film for you. This is a spoiler-free review. I'll just give you some positives, give you some negatives, and then at the end I'll hit you with a rating system just like this one, except filled out, of course, to the preference of this film. I want to say I was very much looking forward to Sausage Party. Sausage Party was one of those most anticipated films for me of the year. It's one of those films that could be very innovative, that could change the genre as we know it. If this film becomes successful, you're going to see a lot more rated R comedies in the animated world. Which is funny to think, but we've had rated R comedy in the animated world for a long time, or at least on TV, with Family Guy, The Simpsons, South Park, Rick and Morty. It's been around for ages, but putting it on the big screen wasn't really a big draw. But if anybody was going to do it, it was going to be Seth Rogen and his team of hilarious people. There's so many amazing things to love about Sausage Party. The cast, for one, you have Seth Rogen, Michael Cera, Bill Hader, Edward Norton, who did not sound like the character he was at all. When at the end of the film they told me who Edward Norton's character was, I was like, I didn't know Edward Norton could pull off a voice like that. I don't want to spoil it for you, but when you find out who Edward Norton is, you're like, oh, I didn't know he did that voice. There's going to be a lot of voices you actually won't recognize, and I don't know if that'll be a good thing or a bad thing. I want to chalk it up to a good thing, because sometimes if you really recognize someone's voice, it can really put you out of the film. I know when I go into an animated movie and I recognize someone's voice, I go, oh, that's that actor. And then for the rest of the time, I can only see that actor's face on that character. And the only two characters maybe that really stand out where you're like, that's definitely them, I can't see anybody else but them, is Seth Rogen and Salma Hayek's voice. They have very distinct voices, but that's not a bad thing. If anything, I was going in the film because these actors were voicing these characters. Another positive of the film, it is definitely hilarious. It is so funny. I'm laughing throughout the entire film. It's definitely the funniest film I've seen all year. It's going to be really hard to beat this one because I was not expecting it to be so funny, and a lot of crude humor. If you're sensitive to crude humor, humor with sexuality, homosexuality, race, religion, then maybe stay at home. I know there's some people out there that are very sensitive to that kind of topic, but this film does what Zootopia did when they touched racism and gender and all that stuff with a different animal species. This film sort of does the same thing. You have specific foods that you know are for specific countries, the stereotypes here and there. Another great thing is they don't overdo it with the PSA. I usually hate when they do that in the film, when they try to hit you over the head with the message they're trying to put out. But I mean, they were just being funny. Of course you're going to get a speech where it's like, oh, we can all come together, even if we believe this, even if we believe that, even if we come from this factory or that factory. It was still very funny and it worked really well. And that's really like the biggest positive I can give this film, is that it was just hilarious, that it was a good time. Like, you don't go into the film because you're expecting a complex story or something that's going to blow your mind or going to give you a twist ending. You go in it just to laugh, just because you know these actors and you know what they're capable of, and this is going to be the first highly publicized rated R 3D animated comedy. It's really something to behold, and they pulled it off nicely, and I was very happy with the results. I'm glad it's getting good reviews, and hopefully it gets a great box office return. If I had to give any negatives on the film, any whatsoever, oh, man, there's not really much I could say. You know what you're getting into when you go into a Seth Rogen comedy. It's crude humor, gross humor, and that stuff works for me. There's not really anything negative I could say about it. Sometimes the only thing I could say that would maybe be a negative is don't think too hard. Because I know when you're watching the film, you're thinking, well, how did this sausage roll around to this area? How did they walk to this area? Just don't think about it. Enjoy the film. Just don't think about it. This isn't a film where you need to think about what things are happening, how did they get to this situation, how did they get here to there. Just accept whatever the film throws at you. That's the best I could say. If you think too hard, you might enjoy the film a little less. And forewarning you, those last 10 minutes of the film, you're going to need Jesus, you're going to need holy water drops for your eyes, because the film just goes all out. Please do not bring your children. Even if you think, how bad could it be? It gets really bad in a good way. If you take your child to see this film, you're going to have some awkward conversations about what just happened on screen, and you do not want to have that talk on the ride home. So basically, that's my thoughts on Sausage Party. I really had a good time. I was so happy. Little side note, when I went out to the advanced screening, they gave everybody over 21 a free ticket for a beer, which enhanced my experience a little bit. So anytime a studio can do that for an audience member like me, that's a big plus. But anyways, guys, let me know what you thought about Sausage Party. Is there anything you agree with me on, anything you disagree with me on? I didn't have a lot of negatives for the film. If you do have some negatives on the film, let me know down below. What did you think didn't work in the film? I'm very excited to see what they do with the sequel, because if you've seen the film, you know how it ends, and it's pretty interesting what they're going to do if they go on to do it. But as always, guys, I'm Chris, and I leave you with the 3C Film Review. Take care.